All children are born autistic. In my article, The Neurological Spectrum, I explained that we are all on a spectrum between individual and collective identity, and that autistic people can be found at the far individual end of the spectrum. A newborn child is already aware of their self, and initially they identify themselves as an individual and others as other individuals, and therefore as equals, no matter how different the other person may be. However, from the moment they are born, their individual identity is sabotaged by society's and in most cases their parents' de-individuation efforts, by getting them to a greater or lesser degree to take on the identities of the groups they belong to, such as ethnicity, nationality and social class, and those they are brought into, such as religion and culture, and which are presented to them with at least a slight sense of superiority. Furthermore, children are expected to learn decoding and fulfilling all the social expectations of these groups. The most obvious category to identify with, at least in multiracial environments, is ethnicity. And while newborn children don't have a racial preference, 3-month-old infants already prefer the company of their own race. And developing a sense of us also means developing a sense of them. In the early years, children learn to identify with physically discernible groups such as ethnicity, and the older they get, the more they identify with abstract groups such as nationality. And while younger children tend to unconditionally favor in-group members, older children also begin to discriminate against group members who fail to conform. Most children, to varying degrees, manage the gradual transformation from individual to collective identity. But there will always be children who are unwilling to let go of their individual identities. In general, as they grow older, children undergo a neurological process known as synaptic pruning. And over the years, roughly half of their synapses disappear as a result of inactivity, since they are not relevant to their collective identities. However, this process does not occur in deindividuation resistors who hold on to most of their synapses, which can cause reduced habituation and sensory overload, but also explains their ability to logically connect facts, information, and observations that appear unrelated to others. Their resistance to collective identities also explains their tendency to be rational and unbiased. How these children fare depends a lot on the environment and the parenting style. A child like this growing up in a liberal society with parents who practice gentle parenting and tolerate or even encourage individual expression will usually thrive. The same child, growing up in a conservative environment and with strict parents, will face a constant struggle by having to fight demands to conform and give up their personality, and therefore they are most likely to receive an autism diagnosis. Society and many parents try to break autistic children by demanding the display of certain behaviors and the suppression of others. This can take the form of authoritarian structures of parenting or behavioral conversion therapies such as ABA. There are 3 possible outcomes to these attempts. 1. The child is successfully broken, suppresses their autistic identity and copies the behavior of others in order to achieve acceptance. This comes at the cost of their mental and physical health, since they are prone to develop stress-related conditions such as PTSD or gastrointestinal problems, as well as their intellectual potential. 2. The child refuses to denounce their identity and defends it vehemently and sometimes violently. 3. The child mentally withdraws from a world refusing to accept them for who they are. If your child resists de-individuation, and holds on to their individual identity, let them. They are not broken. On the contrary, human progress is the result of individuals who don't go with the crowd, who don't just follow orders, and who are able to think originally. Thank you.